Out of the 1,000+ fragrances within my collection, these here are some of the very best that money can buy. And you're gonna like this video because there are going to be some blatantly obvious ones thrown at you just because I feel like it would be doing a disservice not to mention them. But there are also gonna be some seemingly random ones, but they aren't really random at all. They do provide some absolutely fantastic value, and they are just amazing. Like, they are really, really, really good. All of these are, but some you might not have thought of. And maybe those don't get featured all that much because there's just so much to talk about, and they aren't within the general scope of the hype train, and they maybe don't normally capture a whole lot of attention, or maybe they did at one point, but they don't anymore. There's a lot of variables, but there's a lot to cover here. And just to give you a brief idea of what this video is all about, basically we're just going over some of the things that I think are just fantastic value. I'm not saying that these are all cheap, because quite a few of them are a little bit on the pricier side, but these are the types of things that are worth the investment. You pay for them, you spend your hard-earned money on them, but then they also give you a lot in return. They give you fantastic quality, performance, uniqueness, a lot of them mass appeal. There's just so much going on with these. And so I can't say enough good things about these fragrances here, and I'm excited to dive into them. All right, let's get things kicked off with a very, very common one that you see all the time, usually starting around this time of year. SPICEBOMB Extreme. So, you know, again, it's the furthest thing from under the radar. So, you know, you've seen it before. It's got tobacco, vanilla, black pepper. It's an amazing scent. If you're looking for an affordable designer tobacco, one of the best affordable designer tobaccos, go for this. And again, it's $100. It's not like it's cheap, but in the grand scheme of things, when you start playing with niche and things like that, this one is a fantastic pickup if you have some money laying around and you want to put it towards one of the best designer tobacco winter scents in general on the market. This is it right here. You know, it's playing on that SPICEBOMB DNA, but with a little bit more of a mature twist. It's more refined, it's more polished, it's more well put together. Everything about SPICEBOMB Extreme to me is just better, and I love it. This next one here is more about the DNA than anything, and you'll see what I mean. It's ACQUA de Joe Parfum. So to make it clear, if you already have a bottle of Profumo, ACQUA de Joe Profumo in your collection right now, you do not need to go out and buy this right now, okay? Just laying that out there. So if your bottle of Profumo is full or barely has a dent in it, or even is half empty, half gone, you don't need to go get this right now, okay? It's ACQUA de Joe Profumo, just tweaked, modernized, maybe even refined a little bit more, and re-released into a new bottle and name. So I just want to put that out there, okay? So that's what it is. It's the DNA. The ACQUA de Joe Profumo DNA is an absolute killer purchase. Now, if you don't have Profumo, it would probably be cheaper for you to purchase the Parfum instead, and so go that direction. And if you already have Profumo and at some point you're going to run out of it, then at that point it would also probably be cheaper to purchase the new Parfum. But this DNA, again, it's common, you know, people know it, people talk about it, but it still provides so much. It brings a ton to the table. It's an aquatic, fresh scent with a little bit of a smoky and heavier twist. I mean, it's genius, really, because it's adding depth to a more or less not very complex and interesting style of scent, which is the aquatic in a nutshell. The original ACQUA de Joe, not hating on it, it's amazing, but it does leave a bit to be desired in some areas. The Profumo DNA, the Parfum, it really adds more variety and more interest to the scent. It also adds more versatility. It's great for evenings out. You can wear it anytime, all year around, for any situation. It has great performance. There are so many positives to this scent DNA that I say, hey, I think everybody should have it. Next up, we have Valentino UOMO Intense. So you got to have some sort of iris in your collection, in my opinion. It's a must-have, and especially the sweeter irises. I think you should have one. You know, Prodalome, a fresher iris, it's a great one to have around, but these are also amazing, especially in the cooler times of the year. So you could go for your DHP or your Gentleman EDP, take your pick. I could only feature one, or at least I only wanted to feature one in a video like this without it being redundant. So I tossed in the Valentino. Take your pick, whichever one you like the best, throw it in. That's all that matters. I like to switch it up personally. There are times when I'm craving DHP, there's times, or DHI and DHP, there's times when I'm craving Gentleman EDP, and there's times when I want a little bit of a leathery sweet iris, and I go for the Valentino. It just depends. And the Valentino has a little bit more of a kind of a classy feel as well, just from the leather and how it's composed. I just really like it. It's grown on me substantially. At first I thought it was redundant, but as I've worn it more, I've come to realize that there are some really nice nuances that are more so subtle about this that separates it from the others. So that type of thing, it just takes some wearing and some, time with the scent to be able to pick up on those differences. And once you kind of start to hone in on this DNA, you'll realize why it's so special. You probably weren't expecting to see this next one, okay? This is kind of out of left field, kind of like what I was talking about in the beginning of the video. But there are a few scents from this line, and really just from this brand in general, that are absolutely incredible, and this is one of them. John Varvatos Dark Rebel. You could also throw in Dark Rebel Rider. Put them as a tie. They're both amazing. Dark Rebel is all about the sugar, the rum, the tobacco, the leather, and a bunch of other notes. These have pretty substantial note breakdowns. But those are kind of the main ones, the most important ones, I would suppose, I guess you could say. It's so good, guys. It is so good. It is a designer level niche scent, essentially, is kind of how I look at it. It's not super hard to pull off. It's not super daring. It's not something crazy like that, but it does have more of a premium kind of unique take on a designer scent, and using the tobacco, leather, rum, sugary, sweet combo really well. It's something special. There is something amazing about this stuff. Same with Dark Rebel Rider. They're both amazing. They're both getting hard to find now, but if you can grab one of these for a good price, I highly recommend it. It's a fantastic purchase. You won't regret it. These are a piece of fragrance history, and they are worth having around. So good. Next up, we have a niche scent here. It's another one that's going to be a little bit more expensive. However, it's one of those things that adds so much value. It's one of those deals where you pay for it up front, but then once you get it in and you spend a lot of time wearing it, you realize how good the quality is, how good the performance is, which is a big plus. And again, it kind of comes down, to me anyway, about the subtleties of the scent, the small little nuances and little things that you might not pick up on first when you spray it or wear it, but after 2, 3, 4, 10 plus wearings, you really start to kind of notice these small little things about it, and that's what makes it fun. It's PDM Carlisle, so whenever you can get this one below retail, I recommend jumping on it, and generally that's going to be below retail, best price, just a touch over $200. So again, we're not going over cheapies in this video necessarily, but we're going over things that you might have to pay a bit for, but they do deliver. They do give you a lot in return. And for me, the vanilla patchouli combination in here, the nutmeg, the tonka bean, it is heavenly. It is so smooth, but also so rich and complex at the same time. And again, it goes back to wearing it multiple times and discovering all these little things about it that make you love it even more. People kind of say it's a little bit like red tobacco, and I would agree, although way more smooth than red tobacco. Not quite as harsh, not as in your face, not as overpowering. Now, don't get me wrong, the performance on this is still absolutely crazy, but it's a different wearing experience than something like red tobacco. I would probably argue and say that this is a little bit more refined, a little bit more well put together, a little bit more, for lack of a better term, tame than red tobacco. But again, I don't want to make it seem like it's weak, because it's not. This is just, I would say, more well-rounded than something like Mancera red tobacco. And that's why I like it. It is a beauty of a scent. DUNHILL Icon is one that's actually going to be a little bit more affordable here for this one. It's a $35, maybe $40 scent. It's all about the neroli, some citrus, some other florals going on in here as well, some black pepper, some musk. It's very interesting because it's got a little bit of a grape soda, fizzy, bubbly opening, which sounds bizarre, and you wouldn't think that that would be in a men's scent, but it actually smells like grape soda. It's very bizarre, but it smells amazing. And that's what makes this one fun and unique. It's just a different experience. You know, you spray this one on each time and it's like, yeah, this is something different that you don't smell every day. You can look at a lot of the corners of FRAGCOM and there's a lot of similarities that you see, but this is not one of them. And you know, it's not your typical men's scent. It's not overly sweet. It's not overly masculine either. It's floral based, and so that usually throws people off. But if you want something different, something unique for a great price, super competitive, great quality for the price, check out DUNHILL Icon. Next up we have Givenchy Pie. So going all the way back to, I believe, 99 for this one. So it's been out for a while now and gone through many different bottle changes and I'm sure reformulations and all of that stuff. Yeah, this is a newer bottle. Let's see, it is 002098. So you can run that if you're interested. Not fully sure. Again, it's one of those deals where just pick up whatever you can get discounter wise. You know, this is usually running for around $50 or so. Now this is a fantastic vanilla scent. And what's interesting about it is nowadays, you know, there are men's vanilla scents all over the place, left and right, or at least using that note heavily. But back going on 23, 24 years ago, that wasn't really, you know, as common when you take a look at the releases then versus now. So this was kind of ahead of its time. You know, with that vanilla, you're also getting kind of a powdery benzoin to go along with it. A little bit of a kind of a woodiness more so in the base. Smells fantastic. You know, it's actually pretty modern smelling. You know, it smells like something that would be released today somewhat. You know, it doesn't have a dated smell, and I think that's pretty cool. If you're looking for a nice, more maybe masculine leaning men's vanilla scent, you got to check out Givenchy Pie. I mean, it's a classic. It's got great quality, decent performance out of it. Has some uniqueness behind it, considering it was kind of the first of its, not the first of its time, but something a little bit less common back then. And even these days, there's a lot of vanillas, but they don't really smell quite like this. Definitely a must-have for a great price. Next up, we have Mercedes-Benz Club Extreme. So this is definitely more of a hidden gem, at least in my opinion, compared to some others out there. A lot of the reason why is because for the longest time, it was hard to get. You know, it wasn't in stock at a lot of places. It's been popping up pretty regularly here lately. Discounters, you know, Fragrance Net, Fragrance Buy have been getting this one in. And it's usually right around $50. If you're on my mailing list and texting list, which I highly recommend, I'll send out an email each time something like this, you know, something rare comes in. So if you're on those, you won't have a problem getting one for yourself. It's all about the patchouli and the amber in here, and it kind of smells a little bit like Mugler's Angel Mint, maybe Mugler's Pure Malt, a little tiny bit. But I find this to be a little bit more wearable, a little bit more smooth. You know, Angel Mint is not for everybody, you know, and it's something that I think is pretty well known at this point. It's been around for a very long time, and it is a little bit more polarizing. But it has a similar deal going on. It kind of has that chocolatey patchouli type of deal, the sweet amber. It doesn't really have the same type of coffee accord and caramel accord that Angel Mint has, but it just kind of alludes to that type of DNA with that patchouli that they're using here in particular. And again, it simply is just a little bit more wearable than that, you know, a little bit easier to pull off in a lot of other situations. It's one that a lot of other people are going to generally enjoy more. And so when you can get this one for a great price on discounters, it is definitely worth picking up because they just don't make them like this anymore. Angel Mint has been out forever. This is, the release date of this one was a while back also. You know, we're just in a new time, guys. It's crazy to think, but when you look back at a lot of these older ones and you smell them, they just don't make them like this anymore. So definitely pick up Club Extreme if you have a chance to get it. It's really good stuff. Okay, this next one, going back to another niche scent, and this DNA is, to me, is so special. Of course, it started out with the original, the EDT, and years later, they came out with an extrait. However, you could go for whichever one. Now, it's all about getting the DNA. There are even some clones out there. It's AMOUAGE Reflection Man. I'm happening to include the 45 extrait version, which is more expensive. I would not pay retail for it. Retail is $500. I would advise against that, okay? It pops up on discounters for significantly less than that, like usually over $200 less than that, okay? So if you're patient and you're looking in the right places and you're on my mailing list, you can get this one for a pretty substantial discount. And that's what I did, and that's what I would recommend you to do. And again, if you don't want to pay even that much money, the original is still fantastic. It's going to be more affordable, and it's still a great way to go. Personally, I like the extrait because it solves the kind of issue of, you know, lesser performance with the EDT, but, you know, it's going to be up to you. And yes, it's more expensive, but it's one of those deals where you just don't get things like this elsewhere. You know, there are clones out there for sure. They're never going to do it the same type of justice, though. They get close, and that's what clones are all about. They're all about getting close, and I love clones. I talk about clones all the time, but sometimes there's no substitute for the original or the real deal, and that's kind of how I feel about this DNA in particular. Again, there's something so special about the Reflection Man DNA. The neroli, the jasmine, just all of the white florals with some of the sandalwood. And here you get a little bit of myrrh and benzoin and olibanum, some slightly sweeter, darker notes to complement that fresher DNA with this extrait version here. It simply is Reflection Man just completely taken to the highest level possible. Super unique stuff all around, through and through. You know, Reflection Man, it's gotten its fair share of hype throughout the past years, and rightfully so. You know, there's just something that is unique about it, and it's something that when you wear it, it gives you this type of confidence and this type of feeling that I don't really get from too many other things. So great stuff, worth having around. Next up, we have Guerlain, L'Instant de Guerlain, Pour Homme, Eau de Parfum, or LIDGE. We'll just go with LIDGE. Okay, so long name. Another one that's been through so many bottle changes. It is insane, and this isn't even the up-to-date bottle anymore. So that means I have to go out and buy the new bottle. And now they come in the L'Homme Ideal bottle, you know, the square ones. That's what they come in now. So I'm gonna have to get that one just because it causes confusion when you hold up an older bottle. So yeah. So just imagine this bottle, but square. In terms of if they're going to smell different, they reformulated it, I don't know. I hope not, but I guess I'll have to find out for myself. Another one that's all about the patchouli. You know, it seems to be a common theme, I guess. I don't know why, but I love it, I suppose. Patchouli with a lot of cacao, so it has a dusty chocolatiness. Believe it or not, a little bit of a gourmand feel, which is interesting. A lot of sandalwood as well, if I didn't mention that yet. Patchouli, sandalwood, cacao. Masculine, more traditional. Really creates a statement, more mature. Not going to be for a lot of you young guys out there, although maybe it would be. Do your due diligence and do some sampling first, of course. But again, something special. Been around forever. You've heard of it. You know it. A lot of you have it. A lot of you have smelled it. But if you haven't, you can get this stuff for a great price on discounters. And I recommend it highly if you're after something that is more mature, a little bit more classic. Okay, guys, and we're going to finish this one off with XERJOFF NAXOS. You know, there is something about this tobacco and honey combination that is timeless. It's classic. Goes together like bread and butter, you know, the tobacco honey. You know, I'm not saying that they did it first here. It's very common, you know, that particular note package. But NAXOS is one of the ones that has done it the best, and they get a lot of recognition for it. And also, you know, when you look at the grand scheme of things, NAXOS is one of the cheaper XERJOFF scents, believe it or not, you know, and it's still not cheap. We'll break it down. 100 ml bottle retails for $250. That might give you sticker shock. Oh my God, $250 for a fragrance. Sounds crazy. But a lot of the 50 ml XERJOFFs, depending on what you're getting, can retail close to that, which would make it double the price per milliliter of this. A lot of the Roja Parfum 50 mils retail for double the price of this 100 mil, so nearing $500 or in excess of $500. A lot of the Killians, right up over here, retail for 300-ish for 50 ml. So when you break it down that way, this is more affordable than a lot of the others, and you get a great product for a more entry-level niche price. Of course, it doesn't come close to being as affordable as like a Mancera niche, but still, you got to give credit where credit's due. This one is reasonable. And it gets even better. This oftentimes pops up on discounters for $160 to $180 for 100 mil, sometimes 200. So there's a spread there, but you're still getting well below retail. Tobacco Honey, beautiful masterpiece of a scent. It is worth every penny. This DNA is incredible. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. Some of the very best fragrance buys that you can make, at least the ones that I have out of my 1,000+ bottle collection. I'll drop links to these down below, and if you're on the hunt for anything rare, discontinued, or hard to find, jump on my mailing list and texting list down below as well. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.